Amish Tripathi now joins us. Amish ji, namaste. Thank you for your time. There has been a lot that's been said, which is not actually the tone that should have been adopted, especially from the Western media around what's happening in Bangladesh. And a headline on a very big newspaper today, many have taken exception to the tone that's been used and also the language that's been used. You've also commented on it.
Anand, look, the issue was not just the tone that apparently minorities and more specifically Hindus are being attacked in Bangladesh as revenge because they supported a political party. That thought itself is unacceptable. You can't kill people because they support a particular political movement. The problem isn't that. The problem that is not being seen or addressed, and I didn't know this an article in 2019. I didn't on it earlier as well. Is that the attacks on the minorities in our neighboring countries to the west and the east is not something that is new. It has been happening continuously for 75 years. Pakistani scholar Farhanaz Isfahani, she had called it drip drip genocide. And she's a Pakistani scholar. And she had shown through census data the population percentages of minorities, largely Hindus, but also Christians and Sikhs, in both West Pakistan and East Pakistan. East Pakistan is, of course, today's Bangladesh. And the drastic reduction in the proportion of the population. If you tally that reduction in population, that's how and how do you measure that so many girl children have been killed in the womb? You measure the population, what the normal male-female ratio should be, and if it's less, you multiply that with the population base. So you get, 500,000 girl children are being killed in the womb every year. That's how data calculation happens. If you actually marry that, the reduction in minority population reduction in Pakistan and Bangladesh, and put that on the base of their population today, there are 60 million fewer minorities than there should have been. Hindus, Christians, and Sikhs. This is, in fact, perhaps the worst ethnic cleansing of the last 75, 80 years. The minority groups of Pakistan and Bangladesh are among minority groups across the world. They perhaps suffer the most. And no one speaks of this. No one in the world is doing anything about it. It's not just the incidents that are happening now. It has been happening for 75, 80 years.
Have you been able to put a finger on why this happens? The moment it's about Muslims in Bharat, it's a different story altogether. Muslims elsewhere, or perhaps, but in some cases, the tone is different.
So look, it's like this. It's like this. You can't say it's Islam because UAE doesn't seem to have a problem, right? Saudi Arabia doesn't seem to have a problem. In India, India and Nepal, the minority proportions have actually gone up. There was a Nehru Liaquat Pact, I'm sure you're aware, in 1950, where India said they will take care of the Muslim minority, and then West and East Pakistan said they'll take care of the non-Muslim minority. I'm not saying India or Nepal or other countries in the subcontinent are perfect. God knows we have many things to improve. But all minority rights are based on one fundamental right, the right to live. Okay, if you're not alive, all other rights are theoretical. And what the minority groups in Pakistan and Bangladesh have been facing, like I said, largely Hindus and largely backward caste and scheduled caste Hindus. So, for example, in Bangladesh, the community that's there is largely the Nam Shudra community, which is classified as a scheduled caste community. So largely Hindus, but also significant numbers of Christians and Sikhs. And the world isn't doing enough to help these minority groups. And if it's been happening over 75, 80 years, then it's a state level pogrom. It's not a particular regime. It's not a particular government. It's, as Farhanaz Isfahani, the Pakistani scholar, had said very rightly, it's drip drip genocide. You know, Bangladeshi professor, Professor Barkat of Dhaka University, had said at the rate the minority population is declining in Bangladesh, there'll be no Hindus left in Bangladesh in 30 years. Professor Barkat, a Bangladeshi professor, had said that.
So let me ask you, this drip drip genocide thing, the Western media, is it equating Hindus with PM Modi and the BJP and saying, and that's why somewhere this messiah, or has Hindu messiah become endemic in the Western media? Why would the Western media write a headline like it's written today? Will they write the same with Muslims or with Christians?
The I don't know if you can call it just Hindus, because the Western media seems to be ignoring the drip genocide of Christians as well in Pakistan and Bangladesh. They're ignoring it completely. Like I said, it's not just Hindus, it's Christians and Sikhs who are being wiped out. Now, it has to be admitted that in the recent past, Bangladesh had stabilized a bit in the then government. But it seems to be picking up pace once again, the attack on minorities. And look, uh, international relations work on realpolitik. India and any other country has to work with whichever government is there. I'm not denying that. You have to work with whoever is there. But we must, and the entire world must focus and look at the minority groups, like I said, largely Hindus, but also Christians and Sikhs in Pakistan and Bangladesh. They are the minority groups which are suffering the most across the world. Like I said, there are 60 million fewer minorities than there should have been. And this is in the same calculation method through which female feticide is calculated, through which COVID pandemic is calculated, because you can't count every death, right? So COVID pandemic also, the death rate was calculated that way. It's the same format. This has been based on estimates and data and census data of Pakistani and Bangladeshi scholars, brave Pakistani and Bangladeshi scholars who've been speaking the truth. And it's not a subcontinental thing, because it's not happening in other countries. It's not happening in India and Nepal. It's specifically Pakistan and Bangladesh, and we must focus on how are we going to save those minorities from extinction. What Professor Barkat, the brave Professor Barkat of Dhaka University, said, at the current rate, that there will be no Hindus left in another 30 years.
No, but that seems to also seems to be an agenda overall, that there has to be an ethnic cleansing and there should be nobody but a certain religious disposition. But my question back to you, Amishji, and the final 2-3 minutes, is this again, the West, does it follow a particular narrative with certain nations or certain class of people or certain religions? And does it follow a different narrative altogether when it comes to another nation? And the sub part to this question is, have we failed as a nation to also influence this narrative and change this perception?
Absolutely. Look, it's like this. Powerful countries do what is in their perceived self-interest. When they make claims of morality, we didn't see much of that morality when they destroyed Iraq or randomly destroyed Libya. How many Muslims were killed there, right? In those invasions, right? And they were unprovoked. In Syria was randomly destroyed. It's great powers will do what they feel is in their perceived self-interest. This is the way the world has always been.